So far, we've used a model that uses a utility-consumption relationship to think about how risk-averse, risk-neutral, and risk-loving individuals make decisions in the presence of risk. It turns out that there is a more general way of thinking about choice in the presence of risk, and we'll begin to develop this here. On the horizontal axis of this model, we'll denote consumption in the good state as xg, and on the vertical axis, we'll denote consumption in the bad state as xb. Along the 45-degree line, consumption in the good state is equal to consumption in the bad state. And thus, if we end up on the 45-degree line, we face no financial risk. We can then indicate my wife's uninsured gamble as point E in this graph. At point E, my wife gets $250,000 in the good state and $10,000 in the bad state, which is exactly what we've assumed throughout our graphs. Insurance contracts are then contracts that lower consumption in the good state and increase it in the bad states. A full menu of actuarially fair insurance contracts would appear as a line in this graph, a line that passes through E and crosses the 45-degree line at $190,000, which is the expected value of the gamble that my wife faces. Point A, for instance, is an insurance contract that lowers my wife's consumption in the good state to $230,000 and raises it in the bad state to $70,000. This is exactly the same insurance contract that we modeled in panel A of graph 17.4. Point B represents an insurance contract that would lower my wife's consumption in the good state to $210,000 and raise it in the bad state to $130,000, exactly equal to the actuarially fair insurance contract we first modeled in panel B of graph 17.4. Finally, point C is an actuarially full insurance contract, a contract that lowers my wife's consumption in the good state to $190,000 and increases it in the bad state to $190,000, thus eliminating all risk. The key feature of all insurance contracts that lie on the blue line is that the expected value of the gamble implied by the insurance contract remains unchanged at $190,000, thus implying that all the insurance contracts on this line are actuarially fair. By extending this line above the 45-degree line, we're allowing for the possibility of someone over-insuring, that is, insuring so much that consumption in the bad state becomes larger than consumption in the good state.